Hi everybody, I'm Zilla Blitz and welcome to Shelf Tour number 2, the video series where we take 10 semi-random games off the shelves behind me and talk about why they're there, why I got them, what I hope to get from them, why I like them, and just kind of chat a little bit about each one of the 10 games that we pull off. With that in mind, let's get started and dig right into our new set of 10 games. So let's jump in with our first game, Panzer Battles 11th Panzer on the Cheer River. So I think this one's a good one to start with because there's a lot to say about it. First of all, I mentioned in the first video that I've been away from wargaming for about 25 years. And so I kind of set aside a little pool of money to build up a kind of a representative sample of games, of war games from around the genre, and kind of build up a collection in this first year. And while I've been playing a lot, I've also been buying probably a little bit more than I've been playing. That's why this one's still in shrink wrap. But I didn't have any games from Multi-Man Publishing, nothing. So I wanted to try a game from their company. And then I'd also heard really good things about their Standard Combat series, of which this is one of the games. And they had their fall sale a few weeks ago. And ideally from that SCS series, that Standard Combat series, I was thinking to try Rostov 41. That was my #1 choice, but Rostov 41 wasn't on sale. And they had probably a half dozen games in their sale that were like $15 or less, just really good deals. So I saw this one as one of them, Panzer Battles, 11th Panzer on the Cheer River, Standard Combat series. It was like 12 bucks, I think, or 15 bucks or something like that. So very, a good price. So I thought, okay, I'll try that one instead. So this is the first game in this Standard Combat series that I'll get a chance to try. And of course, it involves the 11th Panzer Division around the relief efforts around Stalingrad in World War II. So it's an area of history that I'm interested in exploring too. So I'm very excited to try out this system. And one of the reasons why I wanted to try out a system like this is, as I've been back into wargaming, I've been spending a lot of time learning games. So I've been probably learning like 2 or 3 games a month. And I haven't really had a chance yet, except for maybe Men of Iron, where you learn a system and then you get a chance to play multiple games with it. So what I'm hoping this will do a little bit is, instead of having to learn a game, play a game, learn a game, play a game, with the Standard Combat series, I can come in, I can learn a game, and once you learn one game in the series, you can pick up any other game in the series and learn it pretty quickly. I mean, each one apparently has some specialized rules for that particular battle or that particular game, but on the most part, it's a pretty fast learning curve. So hopefully that'll give a chance to, I really enjoy learning games, but hopefully this will give me a chance to increase kind of that playing time per learning time. So I'm looking forward to this one as a first game to kind of dig into this series, and it should be kind of fun. So this one, table's been tied up recently with Captain C and the Hunters series, so I'm kind of working on those, but I think this one might be one I'm going to look into shortly after that. So excited to get this one to the table and to try out a game from Multi-Man Publishing. So let's go to game number 2, Storm Above the Reich. This was, I think, the 3rd game I got after coming back into wargaming. And the reason I got it was I saw the designer, Jerry White, talk about a game in this series that he's designing about the Battle of Britain using a similar model to this one. And it looked so cool. And it's a dedicated solitaire game. And this one, of course, is you're using German fighters defending the German homeland over Allied bombers as they're trying to destroy Germany. And you kind of have a campaign that runs and everything. And it just has a lot of elements of storytelling. Each individual pilot's going to have their own kind of story. Some of your guys are going to die. Some of them are going to become aces and things like that. So in terms of gameplay, it looked absolutely fascinating. And if you recall, this was, I think, the first unboxing video I did for the channel. And my intention at that point in time was to go and take this game and then immediately make a video series on it. And I played through a number of scenarios and kind of tutorial scenarios with this and got a chance to figure out how to play it. I really like the game. It's a ton of fun. But what I realized as I was trying to make a video for it was that I wasn't ready yet to try to make videos for this particular game because there's so much going on. You've got kind of a central area. You've got planes moving around in areas around it. You've got some charts. You've got dogfighting that happens in a different element. So there's just a lot going on. And I found it like I didn't feel like I had the video creation skills to be able to make a series with this yet. Because zoomed out and looking at everything, it just didn't look good. And everything I tried, it just wasn't working. So I said, okay, I'm going to definitely want to make a series for this for the channel, but I feel like I need to try some intermediate games before that that are going to kind of help me to figure out how I might shoot this one in a way that doesn't totally suck, right? So that was the thought. The gameplay and creating a video oftentimes can be very different things, and I feel like this one's going to be a challenging one to make a video series for, but I love the gameplay. It's fantastic at telling stories, And I think this was a really good choice to add early to my collection. So Storm Above the Reich by GMT Games. Cool. Alrighty, let's go to our next two games, Panzer Blitz and Panzer Leader. We're going old school, back to Avalon Hill from the, this would be the 1970s or 1980s or something like that. These, I do want to pull out some older games as we go through these. I played both of these games a ton when I was gaming like 25, 30 years ago, and just absolutely adored them. I remember at the time, like the way you can put the different maps together to make different scenarios, and the silhouettes on the unit, and all the different units and creative ability that was there, and the ranged combat and tanks and stuff. Oh, it was just so much fun to play. And I think Panzer Leader has like a beach landing scenario that was fun to play too. And I just loved the kind of the vision and the creativity behind it. And this was actually, I think, the first time I created a scenario for a game. I remember making kind of a hill rush scenario for Panzer Blitz, where two competing forces were trying to take a hill at the same time. And just kind of playing around with the idea of designing something in a game and things too. But I'm very curious too. One of the things I want to bring to the channel are some of these older games, because I think some of them hold up better than we think they do and others don't. And I think even for just like a nostalgic trip down wargaming history, they're a lot of fun to look at. So I hope at some point to bring both of these, or maybe one of these, to the channel and see how it holds up over time. Kind of do an unboxing and maybe play a scenario and stuff. Ranged combat, I think, is a little bit tricky to get in a video format, so there's something to be considered there. But I'm sure it can be done, and I feel like that might be kind of a fun one to look back at. Okay, so I mentioned that Storm Above the Reich was the third game I picked up since coming back into Wargames. This was the second game I picked up, Enemy Action Ardennes. And the reason I picked it up was it came highly recommended as one of the best solitaire experiences out there. And it's actually kind of funny, because I was looking over this one this morning, but let me kind of tell the story, what's happened with this game since I've got it. So it's a Battle of the Bulge game. There's lots of games that cover the Battle of the Bulge, of which I have absolutely none. So I thought, well, this would be a good place to start. I'm interested in the battle and a solitaire game. It's really 3 games in one, right? Because you can play 2-player, or you can play German solitaire, or you can play Allied solitaire. So it works both ways. And the solitaire system is highly advanced and highly effective. It came incredibly strongly recommended for a solitaire game, for hex and counters kind of game. So it's like everything I wanted to play, everything I was looking for. Interestingly enough, what's kind of funny is that when I opened it up after getting it and thought about playing it, I kind of started going through the rules and stuff like that. And my understanding on how the best way to learn how to play this is, even if you're playing it solitaire, is to learn the 2-player game, try a game where you're controlling both sides to get the kind of the core rules down, and then add in a solitaire rule set and play with that. So you're trying to layer the learning of the game. But what's really funny is that I started to learn the game. I was totally overwhelmed. I said, wow, this is just way too much for me right now. Because at that point, I'd been away from wargaming for a long time. Right? And so coming back in and just wrapping your head around a big rule set, it was like a beginner, except I wasn't a beginner. And I just found the game too hard. I was like, okay, this is way too complicated for me right now. I need to start with something easier to kind of ease my way back into the hobby. And then as I was looking at it this morning when I picked it up, I started kind of thumbing through the rules, and I'm like, this doesn't look hard at all anymore. So it's kind of exciting to see over the course of the past like 6 months or so, I've gotten back into the hobby enough that, because the game, the 2-player game is medium complexity, which I think is fair looking at the rules this morning. But at the time, it seemed really hard. But it's interesting to see how you learn more about wargaming, and you can play more complicated games as you play more war games. So with that in mind, I am actually very excited to dig deeper into this one now that I've kind of feel like I've learned a number of games in the interim and are perhaps a little bit more capable at picking up a rule set like that one. So let's go to our next game. Heart of Darkness. So this one is from Legion Wargames, designed by Kim Kanger. And the reason I picked this one up, I did an unboxing on this one, and I've played through kind of a sample game here too. And I do want to bring it to the channel because I really like it. And one of the things that I think intrigued me about this one is that it's an adventure game, right? Of course, you're exploring Africa, and you play the role of an adventurer with your team, and you're trying to live and find different things, and you get fame points for doing cool things. So it's a game about adventure, and that intrigues me because I don't think, and it's kind of war game mechanics, if you would, in an adventure format. And I think there's a ton of potential for adventure types of experiences in war games or in gaming in general. And there's not a ton of games that cover this and do it well. It's hard to do it well, I think, right? So I was really interested in exploring this one just from kind of a game design perspective, and I really like some of the vision and some of the creativity that are in this. So at some point, too, I do want to make a series for this one. I've enjoyed this one quite a bit. I want to make a series and eventually do a kind of review for it, too. But for games that do adventure, I think this has got a lot of novel concepts in it. So I'm excited to dig into it deeper, to really dig in and play it. Particularly because it is a game that offers a look at a type of experience that isn't all that commonly covered in wargaming or in games that use kind of wargaming mechanics. Okay, next. Enemy Coast Ahead, the Doolittle Raid. So this is another solitaire game by GMT Games, and it's designed by Jeremy White, who also did the... Oh wait, is that Jerry White? Is that different people? No, yeah, oh, I wonder if it's the same. I guess this says Jerry White and this says Jeremy White. So now I'm not quite sure if that's the same person or not. But anyway, we'll put that aside for now. Enemy Coast Ahead. So this is an interesting story. I was stressed at work, and sometimes when I get stressed at work, I like to buy things because that relieves the stress. And I was just poking around on eBay, and this game showed up, Enemy Coast Ahead, solitaire game about the Doolittle Raid, GMT Games, and it came out 2017. I didn't know anything about it, but I thought, that looks kind of interesting. I wonder how it is. And I didn't really have time, but the starting bid was kind of respectable. So I said, okay, well, this will relieve my stress. I just put a bid down and then I kind of forgot about it. And then a few days later, I actually got the bid. For whatever reason, it just slid through on the auctions. And so then it showed up and I thought, well, cool, this looks really neat. But I don't know anything about it. And since then, I've actually heard a couple of people talk about it, not a number, a couple of people talk about it as being a really cool solitaire experience. And of course, this one is you're plotting the Doolittle Raid against Japan, solid type experience, and you kind of move your bombers across, and I imagine all kinds of problem solve. I still haven't dug into it yet, because it kind of came in, and well, yeah, there's just a lot of games that came in, I haven't played them yet. But really excited to try this one, because I've heard really solid things about the solitaire system, and it looks like just kind of a cool story. I mean, you get to carry out the Doolittle Raid against Japan. I mean, how cool would that be? So very curious about how this plays. I don't know a lot about it yet, other than kind of what the general concept is and that people have praised it. So at some point in time, this one will be a fun one to, I think is fun as well to get to the channel and explore, because I haven't seen a lot of coverage on it. It seems like it's a kind of an underrated game that kind of slipped quietly through the gaming world. And maybe if people know about it or played it, let me know, because I've heard good things about it, but I haven't heard that many people talk about it. And it's not a game I feel like gets mentioned as often as it perhaps should for being a really solid solitaire experience. Okay, 3 left to go. Let's check out some coin. I confess this is a guilty one. I mean, a lot of I feel like I've been playing a lot and I've been buying a lot, but I really hoped I would have gotten the coin game to the table before then. This was looking at the coin series, it's obvious it's an amazing series of games. It covers so many things well. A Distant Plain, of course, is about insurgency in Afghanistan. It's volume 3 in the series. Heard a lot of good things about it, and I'm very interested in learning more about kind of the political situation, the military situation in Afghanistan. So I figured this is a perfect marriage of just interests of mine with a really cool game system. And I feel really ashamed that I haven't gotten to the table before then, because they play really well, solitaire as well. I just haven't done it yet. And so this is kind of in my shelf area of shame. I don't feel too much shame yet because I am playing a lot, so I feel really good about what I'm doing. But this one does make me feel a little bad. I feel like, gosh, I really should have gotten this one to the table sooner. Of course, the coin series now, I think it's up to, what, 10 or maybe 11 games now? And a lot of fantastic games. So I'm very excited. I don't know why I just haven't gotten it to the table yet. Maybe just because I feel there is a learning element to this one, right? I think it's kind of, you've got to jump in with 2 feet and say, okay, I'm going to learn this system. I'm going to figure it out. And the first game you learn in the coin system, of course, is a game that's probably going to be the most challenging. So I feel like I need to have my game face on to learn this one, but I am very excited to get in. It does make me feel bad that I haven't dug into it yet. But A Distant Plain, insurgency in Afghanistan. I'm running out of places to put these. Okay, 2 more to go. Airborne over Europe by Mike Denson, GMT Games. I've done an unboxing on this one. I've read through the rules on it, and this is one that, so I probably should mention why I got it first. So, Advanced Squad Leader. Okay, Advanced Squad Leader. I love that level of combat. And I played Squad Leader when I was playing before I kind of had this like 25-year gap. And I really like Squad Leader. But Advanced Squad Leader scares me because my general thinking of Advanced Squad Leader is like you play Advanced Squad Leader and you don't play anything else. Right? I think you just get lost in it. And so I'm really afraid of getting lost kind of in the Advanced Squad Leader world. So I've been looking for systems that don't quite require that level of investment in energy and kind of intellectual capacity to kind of jump in and say, okay, I'm really going to jump into the ASL world. So I was looking for games like that, and I saw this one here, which is the Last 100 Yard series. This is volume 2 in it. Volume 3, I think, is coming out soon. And the first one, of course, got good reviews, got highly respected system and series. And I thought, okay, cool, I'll give this one a try. Now, as I read through it, I did this one a couple months, maybe 3 or 4 months ago when I did the unboxing, and I read through the rules, and I kind of figured out how to play. This was another one, though, that after I finished the rules, I kind of got through it and I said, yeah, I'm going to need to put this one to the side. It felt like it was just a little bit too complex for where I was in my kind of reintegration into wargaming pathway. So I put it off to the side, and it's kind of in that on-deck circle. It's been sitting there for a while because I do think that there is some complexity here that I need to kind of level up my game for. And I might be there now. I didn't look at the rules this morning and stuff like that. I might feel like I've been there now because this was about maybe 3 months, 4 months ago when I kind of learned this one and felt like, wow, I want to play some simpler games first and then work my way up to this one. But I'm very excited about it. I mean, it's obviously a really cool system. A lot of people really like it. And it's at that kind of squad level that I find so intriguing and so interesting. World War II squad level coming as vehicles. And it's a cool system where, you know, I think one of the things the game tries to capture is the chaos of combat. So you've got this kind of back and forth ebb and flow, making decisions in imperfect data environments, which I think is a really ambitious design that my understanding is it's carried out pretty well. And from reading through the rules and understanding how to play, I feel like they've executed it pretty well. I just need to level up my game a little bit more before I think we dig into this one and kind of explore it. So there is Airborne over Europe. We come to our last one. It's way down on the floor. King Philip's War from Multi-Man Publishing. This one, too, I got on the fall sale on a complete whim. It was one of those games that was under $15, and I thought, well, that's a good deal. But my question was like, what the heck is King Philip's War? And on the back it says, King Philip's War is the least known of all American conflicts. And yet per capita, it was the deadliest and most expensive. 1,200 homes were burned and vast stores of food were destroyed. The economic devastation forced England to tighten colonial control. So this, of course, is in colonial times in the before it was the United States, in colonial England, set in the New England area. And I grew up in New England, in Massachusetts and stuff. I never heard of this war or this conflict. So I thought, wow, just from a learning perspective, and it looks like a pretty cool game. It's got pretty good reviews. So I thought, well, this would be fun to try. I know nothing about this war. So it was kind of a curiosity thing because the price was right. Looks like it's not a very complicated game to learn. It looks like it's a fun game to play. And I'm hoping that when I play it, I'll get a chance to learn something about this conflict. So I'm pretty excited. I mean, I think that's, you know, as I've come back into wargaming, I've started out with some of the larger conflicts and some of the larger battles or campaigns within these conflicts. You know, of course, like the Battle of the Bulge, you know, kind of things like that. Panzer Battles, Stalingrad, you know, kind of the no retreat Russian front, looking at the Eastern Front. You know, kind of got Normandy 44 that I want to get out there in kind of Dark Summer and stuff like that. Games that talk about these bigger battles. Exploring World War I. But I think there's a ton of room still in wargaming for these smaller conflicts. And so I'm really excited to kind of start to play some of these games from a historical learning perspective and also just from a chance to play these different types of games. So King's Philip War, it was an impulse buy. It came in just a few weeks ago. So again, it's still in the shrink wrap, but I do hope to play this one and perhaps bring this one. I think this one might be a kind of fun one to bring to the channel too, because it looks like it's going to be a pretty cool game to kind of dig into from a video perspective as well. So there we go. 10 games randomly selected from the shelves behind me. Let me know what you think. Do you have any of these? Do you like these? Or anything think that I should push to the gaming table or the video table before the others? Any ones that you would recommend getting that would be good pairs with these and things like that? So thanks again for tuning in. If you've enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new, please consider subscribing. And probably going to do again one of these probably every 3 weeks or a month or so. So we'll be back in a little while, maybe right around the end of the year over the holiday time for Shelf Tour number 3. Thanks everybody for tuning in and have a great rest of the weekend.